There is a rare kind of strength that doesn't announce itself with a clenched fist or a raised voice. It's the quiet, unwavering force of a person who has learned how to let go, not out of weakness, but out of immense psychological power. Imagine a warrior, not in battle, but in solitude, writing down 21 tenets on detachment and self-mastery as he approaches the end of his life. That warrior was Miyamoto Musashi, and his teachings in the Dokkōdō, the way of walking alone, remain a blueprint for inner strength through non-attachment centuries later. In a world that glorifies acquisition, reaction, and relentless striving, letting go may seem like surrender. But what if letting go is not the end, but the beginning? What if it's the most powerful thing you can do? Welcome to the Unfolding Journey YouTube channel. This is the Unfolding Journey, where we dive deep into the timeless wisdom of philosophy, psychology, and personal transformation. Each episode is an exploration, a path through ideas that have shaped minds and molded lives. If you're someone who seeks meaning beyond the surface and strength beyond the noise, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Part 1, The Warrior and the Way. To understand the psychological depth of letting go in the Dokkōdō, we must first understand the man behind it. Miyamoto Musashi wasn't just a swordsman. He was perhaps the most famous ronin, masterless samurai, in Japanese history. A warrior undefeated in over 60 duels, Musashi wasn't just fighting others, he was refining himself. In 1645, just a few days before his death, Musashi composed the Dokkōdō, a set of 21 principles to guide his life and others after him. These weren't strategic tips for swordsmanship, nor religious instructions. They were distilled psychological insights, gained through a lifetime of discipline, solitude, and observation. And at the heart of nearly every principle is the idea of letting go. Letting go of desire, letting go of fear, letting go of regret, letting go of attachment to possessions, opinions, comfort, or even life itself. But what does this really mean? Part 2, Detachment versus Indifference. Let's address a common misconception. Letting go doesn't mean becoming emotionally numb or indifferent. In Musashi's terms, detachment is not a retreat from life. It's a deeper engagement with reality, free from illusions and compulsions. Take the first principle of the Dokkōdō. Accept everything just the way it is. This isn't about resignation, it's about presence. Psychological strength begins when we stop resisting reality and start responding to it with clarity. This acceptance isn't passive, it's active. It means not wasting energy on denial, blame, or fantasy. Similarly, another tenet reads, "Do not seek pleasure for its own sake." This speaks to the Buddhist and Stoic concept of hedonic adaptation, the endless pursuit of pleasure leading to emptiness. Musashi's strength came not from rejecting pleasure altogether, but from not being controlled by it. Letting go, in this sense, is a refusal to be enslaved by temporary highs. Part 3, Letting Go of Ego. One of the most powerful psychological shifts occurs when we let go of ego. Musashi writes, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." This isn't self-loathing, it's self-liberation. Ego thrives on comparison, validation, and fear of failure. Musashi understood that a warrior cannot be distracted by pride or vanity. The moment you're fighting to prove something to someone else, you've already lost. In psychological terms, this mirrors the concept of ego detachment, a process often associated with mindfulness practices. It's the ability to observe your thoughts without becoming entangled in them, and to act from intention rather than impulse. Letting go of ego allows you to operate from a place of grounded confidence, not fragile pride. Part 4, The Strength to Be Alone. The title of the Dokkōdō translates as the way of walking alone. This wasn't just a metaphor. Musashi literally chose solitude for much of his life, living in caves, rejecting wealth, and walking his path without dependence. One of his principles states, "Do not seek to possess either goods or fiefs for your old age." Here, Musashi isn't advocating poverty. He's cautioning against the illusion of security. When we tie our sense of self to external things, money, status, titles, we set ourselves up for fear and disappointment. Letting go of these attachments doesn't make you vulnerable. It makes you free. Psychologically, solitude requires strength. It demands you face yourself, your thoughts, your patterns. But Musashi shows us that choosing solitude can sharpen the mind and steel the soul. In a hyper-connected world, can you be alone with yourself and still feel whole? Part 5, Courage Without Attachment. Another striking line in the Dokkōdō reads, "Do not fear death." To a modern audience, this may sound extreme or fatalistic. But in Musashi's context, it's about accepting impermanence. In fact, nearly all fear is rooted in attachment to life, to people, to identities we don't want to lose. Letting go of fear doesn't mean becoming reckless. It means acknowledging that everything you love, everything you are, is temporary, and still choosing to live fully. That is the very definition of courage. Modern psychology often frames this as radical acceptance, the ability to accept life on life's terms without resistance. It allows for resilience, adaptability, and calm in the face of uncertainty. Musashi knew that if you fear loss, you become controlled by it. The way forward? Let go and act anyway. Part 6. Action without clinging. One of the most difficult things in life is to act with commitment, but without attachment to the outcome. Musashi teaches, be detached from desire your whole life long. This doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals. It means your sense of identity shouldn't collapse if you don't reach them. In other words, process over outcome. This principle has deep resonance in modern performance psychology. Athletes, performers, leaders, those who succeed sustainably, often emphasize flow state, a mental state in which action arises naturally, without overthinking or clutching at results. When you let go of the need to win, to be right, or to be praised, you unlock a new level of performance. You become fluid, focused, and free. Part 7. Letting go in practice. So how can we apply this ancient code of detachment in our modern lives? Here are 3 practical ways. Daily reflection. Start or end your day with 5 minutes of honest reflection. What did you cling to today? Where did your ego speak louder than your purpose? Reflection strengthens awareness, and awareness is the first step to letting go. Intentional minimalism. Try removing one unnecessary item from your life every week. This could be a physical object, a toxic habit, or a mental script you've outgrown. Letting go begins with what you can control. Meditation on impermanence. Spend a few moments each day contemplating the temporary nature of things. Your thoughts, your successes, even your challenges. This isn't meant to depress, but to liberate. Knowing nothing lasts, you can stop clinging and start living. Miyamoto Musashi's Dokkōdō is not a relic of samurai ethics. It's a mirror held up to our modern struggles. It challenges us to ask, what are we holding on to? What fears or desires are keeping us stuck? And what might happen if we simply let go? Letting go is not the same as giving up. It is not apathy, and it's not weakness. It is a conscious, courageous act of surrendering what no longer serves your deepest truth. And in that release, something remarkable happens. You stop being driven and start being directed. Power doesn't always come from holding on tighter. Sometimes it comes from opening your hand and walking forward, lighter and freer than before. If you found value in this exploration of the Dokkōdō and the power of letting go, consider subscribing to the unfolding journey. Here, we explore ancient wisdom, modern psychology, and the practices that help us live with more depth, clarity, and strength. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with what resonated most, and share this video with someone who might need a moment of stillness in their own storm. Until next time, walk with purpose, let go with grace, and stay unfolding.